how GAF funding is distributed. Coyote News starts right now.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Hello, I'm Cassidy Cornell.
And I'm Nathan Finster. We'll get to those stories and more, but first...
3 people have died and 2 others are critically injured as a result of a shooting at an office park in Edgewood, Maryland, and the shooter's believed to be on the loose. The shooter left the scene and no one's been arrested. 5 schools in the area were placed on lockdown. Chicago aviation officials fired 2 officers and suspended 2 others involved in the forcible removal of a passenger from a United Airlines flight in April. The Inspector General's office says that the aviation department fired the officer who, quote, improperly escalated the incident. None of the fired or suspended officers have been named. Google's trying its hand at building a city neighborhood. Sidewalk Labs, a company owned by Google's parent company Alphabet, is teaming up with the City of Toronto to begin planning a neighborhood designed as a model for the urban life in the 21st century. The company plans to reduce pollution, commute times, and landfill waste, and even improve the weather through smart building design and tree planting. And those are your headlines. And now let's take a look at weather with Devin Martin.
Thanks, Cassidy. As I mentioned last week, it seems like the rain is endless, but this week we're only getting 1 day of rain as opposed to an entire week. Today we have a high near 76 with some southwest winds of 5 to 10 miles per hour. They're becoming north-northwest winds, so right about now. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low around 38. For your terrific Thursday, it'll be sunny with a high near 75 and a low around 56. Friday will also be mostly sunny with a high near 81. It'll be breezy with a south wind at 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts as high as 35. So make sure to keep a windbreaker handy. Friday night will also bring a 30% chance of rain that will carry into Saturday with a 50% chance. It will also be a rainy start to pheasant season. It will be partly cloudy with a high near 67 and a low near 39. The weather will seem to recover Sunday as it will have a high of 67 and a low near 45. And also for your weather fun fact, have you been getting attacked by Asian beetles recently? Is this a sign of bad weather to come or just good luck? It just so happens that as temperatures cool, Asian beetles simply want to come out and enjoy the sun. During their time outside, they're feasting on eggs, small worms, and other insects. So make sure, if you see these Asian beetles, make sure to wish them a happy Wednesday. And that's your Coyote weather.
Thanks, Devin. A tailgate without the tailgates? There'll be no vehicles permitted in student tailgate, a decision that was made by the university after over 30 incidents were reported at the Dakota Days tailgate. I was at last night's SGA meeting to hear the responses from the open forum.
Students were invited to give their input on the new rules for student tailgate. Director of Programming and Activities, Doug Wagner, provided the senators and audience with some background information about the policy change.
At the first game versus the University of North Dakota, we had seven incident reports that stemmed involving university police that stemmed from tailgate. At Dakota Days, there were 30. Much of the policy that was sent out, nothing changed. We always had the right to search your stuff. We always had the right to kick people out who were tossing things or being disorderly. The only change is we suspended vehicles. That was it.
Wagner was open to new ideas that students may have to make the tailgate a safer environment. Many of the senators made suggestions on potential changes they'd like to see. The layout of the tailgate, the location, and the possibility of a university-sponsored beer garden. Sophomore Senator Josh Sorby says he was surprised by the small turnout of students.
I was expecting there to be a few more students here. I was expecting there to be more representatives from Greek life, a few more other students in different organizations, because we after all heard tonight that there were 3,500 people at our student tailgate for Dakota Days, and we only had about 25 show up here tonight. The 25 that were here were great. They gave some great ideas, but I was expecting more students to show up.
Wagner says he wants to continue the conversation with the hopes that students and the university can come to an agreement. SGA President Tegan McNary has been asked to attend a meeting tomorrow to further discuss the policy.
Thursday's meeting is, there's 12 of us on the committee, 5 of us are students, as well as faculty representation, and it's just kind of to get all points of view and different perspectives to see what will be the best way to move forward to benefit not only the students but everybody involved.
Coyote News will continue to follow this story as it unfolds. If you have an idea on how to make tailgates safer, you can stop by Doug Wagner's office in the Muck, room 113.
Advocates for keeping the USD Law School on campus can count this one as a victory. The law school is staying in Vermilion instead of moving to Sioux Falls. This came after the final discussion on October 6th. The task force was assigned not just because of enrollment numbers, but for a number of reasons. They discussed expanding real-world experiences, the current amount of faculty, and the opportunities students have based on their location.
So I think regardless of where we are, we always need to focus on those key issues. So whether or not the committee voted a certain way, I think it's just important that we are actually looking at those issues as far as expanding our experiential learning opportunities and expanding our scholarship opportunities as well.
One win for advocates for the move. Students will have the option to take classes in Sioux Falls during the final year.
One USD athlete reached an important mark in her athletic career. We'll tell you who it is after the break.
Your fire attack. Your fire attack.
1926.
This is Coyote News.
Earlier today, students had the opportunity to have a Q&A with Tom Brokaw and Robert Legvold. The conversation led to topics such as gun control, race, and America's views of the media and the direction it's heading. The discussion lasted for an hour in the Freedom Forum in the Al Newharth Media Center. Students from the Media and Journalism and Political Science Department took part.
Brokaw's joining another well-known USG alum for a special event tonight. Brokaw and Russian policy expert Robert Legvold are hosting a public forum tonight called The New Cold War, the United States, Russia, and a World of Differences. We'll showcase a conversation between Brokaw and Legvold as they discuss the relationship between the U.S. and Russia. The discussion's being held in Alf's Auditorium with the doors opening at 6 and the event beginning at 7. The forum is free and open to the public.
Coming up, the law school staying in Vermilion. We'll tell you why.
This is Coyote News.
The General Activity Fund is something that all students contribute to through their university fees. But where does it all go? Coyote News' Whitney Fouts is looking into the inner workings of the GAF over the next 3 weeks.
The general activity fee that is added to every student's tuition at USD goes towards athletics, student organizations, and other items the campus needs. Last year, the Student Government Association held a forum to discuss where the funds would go. It was decided that athletics would receive most of the additional funds instead of the art department. USD senior Yulia Sedenko is a former athlete and an art major.
I think both departments would have used this money to improve their programs.
The art department would have used the funds for various things, according to Sedenko.
I think art students will be happy to get more scholarships and have a bigger choice of educational trips.
Sedenko is grateful she was able to experience both athletics and art. She says she wouldn't have had the college experience today if it weren't for these programs.
As a senior, I had a chance to experience the art and athletic departments, and I can say that I learned a lot from both.
Next week, we'll be looking at what the athletic department did with these funds. For the Yote Report, I'm Whitney Fouts.
Tune in next week for the continuation of this story.
Midterms can mean extra stress. Student Services brought back a popular way to get your mind off the books. In addition to students, animals were in the muck to help relieve tension. Study shows that animals help reduce stress.
So my dog's name is Samson. He's a dark golden retriever. So I brought him here. My wife is actually the coordinator of student activities. It's a good opportunity to come and socialize the dog and as well provide an opportunity to de-stress for the students during stressful times during classes.
Happens at midterms and again at finals. For the complete schedule of on-campus events, you can visit the USD website.
Senior setter Brittany Jessen recorded her 1,000th dig earlier this season, and she sat down with Coyote News to reflect on the accomplishment and her years as a USD athlete. Volleyball head coach Leanne Williams says Jessen is more focused on improving for her teammates than she is on statistics. Jessen says her favorite memory is winning a share of the Summit League title last season.
Winning last year, beating Denver at home on that Friday night was awesome, and then beating State the next day to seal the deal and win the first title. That was just a compilation of all our hard work throughout the years, not just that team that one year, but throughout the years, what we've learned and the culture we've established as a team.
Jessen's teammates and coach agree that she's helped create that culture. Jessen says she had no idea she was close to 1,000 digs and is more focused on the team's goal to win the Summit League title. Jessen and her teammates take the court again this Friday at Western Illinois. And, well, we've got more volleyball coverage later in sports, right?
We do. We are sitting down with Megan Kearns about their season so far, and we have highlights of the football team's dominant win over Indiana State. That and more next in sports.
This is Coyote News.
Tonight on Coyote Sports, the football team remains undefeated, and we talk with a volleyball player. But first, the headlines with Devin Martin. Devin?
Gymnast and two-time Olympic medalist Michaela Maroney says she was abused as early as 13 years old by former Michigan State and USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. Nassar is already facing 22 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and could receive a sentence of life in prison. The Chicago Bulls have suspended forward Bobby Portis 8 games for punching teammate Nikola Mirotic and breaking his jaw in practice yesterday. Mirotic is expecting to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Former Penn State assistant coach Jerry Sandusky was denied a new trial and a second chance to convince a jury that he's innocent of the child sexual abuse charges. Sandusky's lawyers have 30 days to appeal the ruling. Sandusky has been serving a 30 to 60-year prison sentence since 2012. And those are your headlines.
Thanks, Devin. It's no longer a secret that USD football is pretty good. In fact, they're so good that they went into Saturday's game undefeated. The Coyotes hosted the winless Indiana State Sycamores, and the mismatch on paper was quickly proven on the field. Indiana State would get on the board first with a field goal, but on the Coyotes' opening drive, Chris Strevler would roll back and he would fire deep for Brent Van Ruckel, and he makes a spectacular catch. Yotes take a 7-3 lead. He seems to make great catches every week, and he was far from done. Strevler goes deep to Van Ruckel again. He's wide open this time, and he takes it 55 yards for a TD, giving USD a 14-6 advantage. Later in the second quarter, Strevler looking deep again. This time it's Cody Case who reels in the 35-yard touchdown, and it's 21-6. Just before the half, Strevler decides to give the arm a rest and use his legs. He will go right up the middle here untouched, 46 yards to the Heezy, and USD starts to run away with this one up 28-6. It was more of the same in the second half. Strevler rainbows one for Cody Case once again. And look at this catch. He makes the diving grab, and the play of the day gives USD a 35-6 lead, and they go on to rout Indiana State 56-6. The Coyotes remain fourth in the FCS coaches poll, and the team seems to be handling the national attention that the high ranking brings. USD came into the 2017 season unranked and were picked to finish 7th in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Now, the Yotes are 6-0 and sit atop the conference standings with perennial powerhouse NDSU. Despite being overlooked before the season, quarterback Chris Strevler says the team was confident in their abilities.
We know how we feel about our team within the locker room, and that's really all we care about. We don't care about rankings or any of that stuff. So we know what we have to do every week to prepare to be ready to play, and hopefully we can do it.
With all of the wins and the high ranking comes more attention and higher expectations. But senior Doug Lewis says the team isn't worried about the outside hype.
Going into camp, we always had that mentality of take each game one at a time, and each game is big to us. So no matter who we play, what week it is, we're going to take that mentality to our opponent each time.
Strevler says they've enjoyed the start to the season, but 6-0 wasn't their goal, and they have a lot more to improve on with tough games remaining on the schedule.
We know that we haven't reached our end goal yet, and we got to keep working and getting better. But it's been fun to be able to continue to build on tradition here.
The Coyotes hit the road this week to take on 24th ranked Illinois State. The volleyball team had their 4-match winning streak snapped by the defending Summit League champs, Denver Pioneers, on Sunday. Denver won in straight sets 25-14, 25-17, and 25-21. Haley Dotseth and Megan Kearns led the Coyote offense, both earning 9 kills. Brittany Jessen recorded 27 assists and 9 digs. Defensively for the Coyotes, Ann Rasmussen tallied 17 digs. Coyote News' Lauren Solik caught up with senior Megan Kearns to get her take on the season so far.
The USD volleyball team is currently sitting at 5-2 in the league in a 3-way tie with Denver and North Dakota State. I'm here with middle blocker senior Megan Kearns to talk about their season so far. So Megan, what do you think the team's strengths have been so far?
I definitely think our strengths have been offense. We're a very offensive team. We're pretty aggressive. And also, I think our chemistry, us as a team outside of volleyball, is what makes us such a great team on the court.
And how did your win against SDSU last Friday feel?
I felt pretty good. It's always good winning against them. I came to the conference late, but I think it's one of those things where it's not just for our team, but it's for the school as a whole and Vermillion as a whole. So it always feels good to be that.
And lastly, what do you think the team can improve on for the rest of the season?
I think just pushing. Sometimes we struggle and we talk about a lot in practice, points 10 to 20,
and I think that's where we struggle the most. But I think if we can just like tighten up that portion of the game, we can be much better. So,
awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
This Friday, the team will head to Western Illinois to take on the Leathernecks. For Coyote News, I'm Lauren Solik.
The soccer team got a big road victory over Fort Wayne on Friday. The Coyotes offense erupted in their 6-3 victory. It was the most goals they've scored in the game since 2014. Kelly Willer and Taryn Labrie each scored 2 goals. Sammy Vilwalk and Zoe Anderson each added one of their own. The Coyotes are now 3-11 overall and 1-3 in Summit League. They take on Western Illinois in their final home game of the season Friday evening. The women's cross-country team won the Bradley Pink Classic for the first time in program history on Friday. Senior Megan Billington led the Coyotes with a 5th-place finish with a personal best time of 21 minutes, 11.6 seconds. Laura Nelson finished 20th, Lindsay Joyce took 23rd, Madeline Hugland placed 27th, and rounding out the Yotes was Erin Wettstein in 30th place. Next up for the Coyotes is the Summit League Championships held right here in Vermilion at the Bluffs Golf Course. USD is hosting the conference meet for the first time in program history, and the Coyote women look to win their 4th straight conference title. And lastly, the Sioux Falls Storm have signed former USD kicker Miles Bergner for the 2018 season. Bergner is USD's all-time leading scorer with 276 points. Bergner will return to the IFL for his 2nd season. He finished the 2017 season with the Colorado Crush, where he converted 16 consecutive kicks. That's a look at sports. Coming up after the break, Coyote News' Rachel Newville is live in the studio with USD's own Tom Brokaw. We'll be right back.
Greetings. Welcome to the CDC, the Center for Community and Diversity, where diversity and community meets the University of South Dakota Mission.
Cater to empowering and enriching the students' lives to ensure that they can obtain the quintessential tools to be able to navigate society.
Fostering is when you take in an animal into your home and you take care of them until we can find them a permanent forever home.
If you can find it in your heart to do it, it's rewarding.
We do all the vetting, the neutering, the spaying, the medications.
The Humane Society has lots and lots of great dogs and cats that can pull at your heartstrings and make you realize you got a little more to give.
This is Coyote News.
Tom Brokaw's back on campus. The USD graduate and former NBC News anchor joins Coyote News' Rachel Newville live in the studio to talk about some of his fondest memories. Rachel?
Thanks, Cassidy. Brokaw graduated USD in 1964 and joins me today to talk about going from a USD student to one of the most respected journalists in America. What were some of the steps you took to go from a USD grad to the nightly news desk at NBC?
Well, it was not just one leap, actually. I was working while I was a student here at KTIV in Sioux City, commuting back and forth. My next full-time job was in Omaha. I went from Omaha quite quickly to Atlanta, very quickly after that to NBC in California. But I was always well prepared because of the time that I spent here. I was a political science major, but I worked a lot on KUSD radio, and at the beginning of television at the university, I did a documentary, I remember, on lever-action rifles. My wife was a camera person at the time. So all of those experiences really do help you gain confidence to go out into what passes for the real world.
What's one of your favorite memories from when you were at USD?
Well, I think all very favorite memories, mostly the friends that I made. A number of them will be here tonight, and it's hard for me to believe that all that time has passed. You know, we were part of what they call the silent generation. We were born just as World War II was starting, so we're not members of the greatest generation. And neither were we baby boomers. They came after the war. So we had a real advantage of when the war ended and we were coming of age. There were opportunities for us our parents could not have imagined. And I think that all my friends at the university that I've stayed in touch with took full advantage of that. And that's a great tribute to the university because it prepared them well, to their own sense of aspirations as Americans, and they want to make their families proud of what they did. So that is something that is a continuum, I think, in American life. Families send their children off to college, the children try to do well by their parents, and then they prepare to send their own children off.
How do you think college students' relationship with news media has changed since you were a college student?
Well, there are 1,000 different choices all day long. In those days, frankly, there was just 2 network news broadcasts, Chet Huntley and David Brinkley on NBC, which is where I wanted to go, and I ended up, and then Walter Cronkite on CBS. Radio was still a very dominant news source in those days. Now, with the addition of social media and cable television and all the other outlets that you have, I mean, you have an iPhone, I assume, and I bet you get a lot of your news off that, frankly. And that's a good thing. The downside is you don't have an opportunity to kind of check the veracity of what you're reading, the authenticity of it. And I think that's incumbent upon every citizen to be more alert to really the opportunities for manipulation on the part of social media. So we all have to weigh in on that.
Thank you. The last time Brokaw visited USD was in 2012 when he was the Marshal of the Dakota Days Parade. Live in the Al Newharth Media Center for Coyote News, I'm Rachel Newville.
Thanks, Rachel. Although it's been 2 weeks since President Abbott announced his retirement, people are still talking about the future change. In this week's Out and About, we asked students what they're going to miss most about President Abbott.
I really enjoy his charisma. When he always comes around, he's always talking to everybody.
I'm gonna miss his sense of humor and his positive energy.
The tradition he brings to campus and how he's just been a fixture of USD for so long.
I'll miss his speeches.
I'm gonna miss his energy when he walks into a room and his willingness to work with students.
I'm gonna miss his smile and his positive vibes that he always has.
Seeing President Abbott at all of the USD games, and I will also miss seeing his spunky personality around campus.
How happy he was. He was always smiling, interacting with people, and just always in a good mood.
Just his presence, just his support for the Yotes, and just him always being around and supporting us.
He's so dedicated into this university and all the time he put in here, and just gonna miss his presence here.
Just seeing him around campus, interacting with the students, and just saying hi to him daily.
I'm just gonna miss everything that he has done.
Pick up a new issue of the Valon out today, featuring a story about USD students who are getting involved on the campaign trail.
That's all for Coyote News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
And be sure to listen for KYOT and KAOR Coyote Radio daily updates throughout the week.
Thank you, and have a great night.